Marcus, the agenda.
Which is sent today. Okay, so,
Thanks.
do you wanna hit record?
Yeah, just,
You did, okay, great. I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Mass Transit Commission. 6 p.m. on Monday, Wednesday, December 11th. You obviously have the roll. And we don't have any minutes from the last meeting. Okay. So we, it says the next, there's nobody here to make an appearance. Tonight, I don't see anybody on Zoom, except for I will say that our esteemed city administrator Neil is here tonight. Down at the end of the table, Addie, if you can't see him.
Yep.
Or you haven't met him.
we've met Addie.
Okay, cause Mark has to leave early, so, and we told, Mick, who's our contact with Madison Metro, since we've been meeting with him the last couple of weeks, that he didn't need to be here tonight, cause we kind of have our marching orders, for this evening. We have no unfinished business, number 5A, so we'll move to new business discussion, on marketing. The marketing plan for Metro and the overall rollout, so, did we hear from Doug by any chance?
Yes, he could not make it.
Okay, great, thank you. So where I wanna start is just to update you guys, so we kind of, we decided a couple of weeks ago. If you may recall, last month we were sort of scheduled to meet and then we didn't really have a plan for Metro yet, and the last time we met as a group, Metro had agreed to put together a marketing plan. And so we figured last month, why meet if they haven't gotten to the plan yet? So then we talked to Mick and said, we need to have a plan. It's gonna sneak up on us. And so, so Teresa and myself and Mark have, the last 2 weeks have met with Mick from Metro. He understands, of course, they're totally overwhelmed with the rollout of BRT and he's short-staffed, so, but that being said, I think we came to a good meeting of the minds. We're gonna meet every Friday, the 4 of us, just to make sure that we're on track with the plan. As we're starting to build it out. You got in the agenda, a spreadsheet, which, kudos go to Teresa for drafting this spreadsheet, for all of us to glance at and then there were 4. There were really 5 things that we wanted to talk about tonight that Mick said would be very helpful to get feedback from this group. First of all, you might have seen the link to the website that Metro's already got for Route 38. It was at the bottom of the announcement to this meeting. If you haven't gone on there on Route 38, they've got the website up ready to go for Route 38. I would say that in our second meeting, a couple of things that we asked Mick to add to that, although it didn't necessarily have to be added right away, was to have a map of the kind of a blow up of the Monona specific stops, because that's all of Route 38, so it shows how you get downtown and how you come back. But it doesn't really show where the stops are in Monona, so we thought having another map that would show Monona stops would be helpful. And then also another map, a separate map that would be showing G and L. Since we know G and L are gonna be serving Monona Drive and Broadway, and especially on the weekends. To show G and L and where G and L stops are would also be helpful. And Mick already knows those 2 things to add. So first, we wanted, but then there were 5 points, and we can go through them one by one. That he said would be helpful that for Metro in terms of needs. One is and wants to know, what do we want the overall message points to focus on? To our public, recognizing that it's not only Monona residents that are gonna ride this, but people that work here and people that wanna come to Monona. You know, what's our overall message? A second was, where do we wanna distribute fast fare cards? A third was, and I'm just gonna read them and then we can go back one by one, where do we wanna put up posters? Because they will make posters for us, design posters for us. But we need to know where we plan on putting them. Then the number 4 was ideas or changes for the media not yet captured on the spreadsheet. You know, we tried to, obviously Teresa did a great job adding VMO and some of the other channels that we typically use that frankly Metro might not usually use. And then the last one was, he needs pictures. Pictures of Monona, pictures of pedestrians standing by a bus stop, metro stop, you know, in Monona, someone getting onto a metro bus perhaps. So he's looking for pictures to not only help with the website, I think, but just as important, help with the poster and the other things that they're planning on producing. They want to produce graphically, they want to produce the posters because it's a branding thing for them, right? And they have the staff to do that, and we don't, so those are the 4 or 5 items that I had written down, and I think that's a good place to start. In terms of overall message points, I think my gut says, you know, KISS. Which is, we want to keep those message points simple, right? As the old saying goes, KISS, you know what KISS stands for?
Keep it simple.
Stupid. Yeah,
The last part.
yeah. KISS with 1 N, okay, okay, because we're not stupid, but, and I'd be happy to take recommendations, or I can throw out something that I was thinking about,
Yeah.
however you wanna
Why don't you start?
start?
Yeah, throwing out your.
So I was thinking basically three points. 1, accessible. And by accessible, I mean, you know, the proximity of the stops, the scope, breadth of the new bus service and the schedule. So without getting into like nitty-gritty detail, accessible, convenient, and affordable were my 3 words that I came up with. The convenience being, accessible being, obviously you can get to a bus and use a bus much easier than you could before. Convenience being the fast fare cards, the route track, having a personal account. The route tracker, which tells you exactly where the bus is and when it's gonna show up. I mean, all that stuff, none of which we've really had
No.
to the extent that Metro will be able to provide it, right? So I think that's, and those fast fare cards are just like debit cards. Once you have an account set up, you just load up the fast fare. Here's the. I think that's a picture. That's our first picture. Here you go. All right, I'm taking that picture. Or Addie, get somebody in your household to take that picture.
I figure if you guys are recording this, the
There we
YouTube
go,
algorithm will pick it up.
That's go right here too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Oh, very nice.
People, I get to send them my driver's license so that I could get the senior.
Oh, so verify you qualify, huh?
All right, Addie, one more time.
If you're
Oh,
a
get it one more
state
time?
worker, You can get it, so it's.
You could probably do a better one than a selfie, but.
Here. No, you I picked this up.
Yeah, and then the third one, affordable, I was thinking of, you know, employer.
Yeah.
Discounts, senior student employer, senior and student discounts,
The
fare caps.
monthly.
right?
Yeah.
And just even the daily caps, I mean, they have daily, weekly and monthly caps, right?
Yeah.
So those were the three words that I sort of was hovering around, but that was like in
No, it's
5 minutes of thinking before I walked out the door tonight, so I'm open
Yeah.
to.
just questions. So what was the assignment from Mick? We were supposed to come up with.
Come up with the overall message points
Messaging.
to focus, messaging to focus on.
And how would these messaging points be used? On posters, on anything?
Mhm.
So it's kind of like repeat, repeat, repeat.
Yep.
These are the things we just
Yep.
keep saying
Exactly.
over and
Yep.
over and over
Yep,
again.
exactly.
Okay, okay.
That's the brand of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Metro, if you will,
Yeah.
from Monona, what do we wanna be?
Is it, so those three words are good. They also apply to the entire system, not just Monona. Is there any need
Right.
to do something Monona specific? I don't know. Like the idea of connecting us, like we're finally connected to the larger.
I think that comes in with the accessibility, doesn't it?
Sure, yeah,
And in
Yeah.
terms of the scope and breadth of what we're
Yeah.
offering.
Is there some,
I-
is there a different short-term message? I like convenience, which I think includes accessibility.
yeah,
Is our message now, and I don't know,
yeah.
I'm brainstorming to give it a
Yeah.
go, give it a try.
Give it a try.
a-
Oh, yeah,
Get on
Right.
board.
get on board. Oh, I see what you're
Yeah.
saying.
So
Yeah,
like,
like
for
Get
me,
on board, give it a try.
sustainability would really be a
sustainable,
great
yeah.
motivator, but I'm not sure if
Yeah,
that's
there's
true
almost
for
like-
other
like-
people.
Like in terms of thinking of Monona specifically,
Give it a
I think
try.
the biggest thing will be like. Not necessarily the merits of the system, but how hard is it gonna be to try it, so just emphasizing that it's easy.
Try it, you
And
like
that-
it, like
that's
Mike,
easy.
you
Oh,
try it,
yeah.
Mike,
Yeah.
you try it, you like it.
I think like the
Right. It's
convenience,
easy,
like
yeah.
the fact that it's easy to get on and, you know. It's not gonna be like, I mean, there'll be an implicit contrast with Monona Express insofar as like, you don't have to have like. A checkbook or exact change of cash to get a 10-ticket thing, you can just. Get one of these cards, put money on it online, so yeah, I think
Ease everywhere,
emphasizing that it's easy.
instead of
easy, but I like that,
accessibility,
I
because
like that,
accessibility
try
might
it.
be, might be too heavy,
Something
maybe
like
it's
try
ease to
it.
everywhere.
Or like
Yeah.
get on
Give it a
board,
go, get
yeah.
on board.
Get
something
everywhere,
on
get everywhere
board.
with ease. or
Yeah,
like
something,
that.
Ease
something
to
about the
everywhere,
ease, because it's like, I think the barrier will be like.
I like-
It's either that,
yeah.
it's like, oh, I don't know what cause I think a lot of people think with Metro. You need to have exact change, you need to have like
Yeah.
dollar bills and I don't carry cash or they think like, oh, it's just so complicated, I need to know the schedule and when it's coming and blah, blah, blah. So emphasizing all the things that make it easy just to try it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And they're set up to do that, cause like I said,
Okay.
I think rolled that out in Sun Prairie, they did a great job
yeah,
of just increasing awareness
Oh, good.
of how to, guys, like parking a bus down at the farmer's market. Come on and actually physically get on the bus,
Mm-hmm,
but
mm-hmm.
see how easy is it to actually just get on the bus? And then, but it is, that's an unfamiliarity,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's not, but just this general, well, God, I don't know how it works. People get worried about trying it, it's like, guys, it's so easy, so
Yeah.
they had videos, they had demonstrations, they did all kinds of really great stuff in Sun Prairie when they rolled it out there, so
Yeah,
I
I
think,
wonder if
Yeah.
on the Monona website, we can have a link to the website they have, but also just like a link to a video of like. Here's what it's
Yeah.
like to
sure,
get on, and I'm sure we could do that by just going on the regular BRT and having a friend.
yeah, and by the time we're scheduled to launch on March 3rd. And they're gonna either be very close or already have introduced being able to even use a credit card
Yeah,
yes,
on the
Yeah.
bus. I mean, it's gonna be so
just
easy.
tap, bing,
I mean,
yeah,
the
exactly.
cashless. You can't even, right? I
I
mean,
think there's
Yeah.
two, they
Tap
do
to-
sound like the audience of people who currently ride
Yeah.
the bus. And then I think there's a whole other
Yeah,
But you
audience.
just wanna
Yeah.
say, give it a
People
try.
who I'll never ride a bus.
Yeah.
Right, and he did talk about marketing specifically to the current riders.
Mhm.
You know, recognizing that they've got a certain
Yep.
obviously a certain experience
Mhm.
where others don't have any experience at all.
Right.
Yeah, it's almost a
No,
It's a different message.
people adopting it hinges on people who are welcoming of public transit.
Right.
Already adopting the new system. Yeah, I mean, to that end. The one thing, do we have like an ask list of them? Cause one thing I noticed is that their schedule. Has. And this has to do with like things that people might be anxious about. Their schedule on the website only lists like 3 stops. Or 2 stops in Monona as like. And so at some point,
Yeah.
having the more, just like a sketch of like, here's when you might come to the bus stop, rather than like sometime between 7:01 and 7:10.
Right, yeah, no, he
That's
talks
already-
about
oh,
that to
okay,
him already.
okay.
Yeah, and they're gonna have, once they get it going, they said, wasn't part
He
of-
said that will all appear once it goes
Oh,
live,
you
like
can't
it
do it
will,
But they can't.
because it's connected to the tracker.
It was one of our big things, it's, yeah, it's connected to track, and once it goes live, you can watch that bus to the second it's gonna be.
But I guess the hard thing is like, I don't wanna be opening up a tracker every morning, like with the Monona Express, I know it's gonna be there at 7:34. And so like knowing, okay, it's gonna be somewhere around 7:08, rather than having to,
Right, but
but maybe we can sort of sketch out for ourselves, like. Approximate times, just to be able to
I'm
say
sure
to
you could
people.
probably do that in this thing we're talking about, getting just the stops anyways you talked about.
Yeah, they probably know how, they've done the rides, they
Yeah.
probably know. That's the one thing that set off alarm bells, because if people don't have an idea of when the bus is coming by, even if they can figure out, okay, it's sometime between 7:01 and 7:11. It's still like,
Especially in March.
yeah,
know.
like, yeah, I don't wanna be out there for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well, get them nailed
So we
down.
can circle back with him on that.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was the thing we tried to.
Yeah.
sorry
we
to
could-
derail.
No,
Oh,
not
it's
at all, not at all. So I think what I've heard, Addie, you took your mute off, do you
Oh,
have?
Could I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Instead of starting with the solution, can we start with the problem or the need?
Right.
Like, what do we need to accomplish? Who do we need to say it to? Who's the audience? Cause those are awesome solutions, but we might have an even better one and faster if we just cut to the chase and say, what do we need to accomplish, right? Like,
Mhm.
so like you were talking about an audience being people who say they'll never give it a try, or they haven't ridden it yet,
Mhm.
right? And so I guess that, I wonder if that might be.
Well,
Instead
we
of,
have our
yeah,
marching orders from Mick, so if we want
I
to split the
understand that.
marching orders up into like the overall message for. Current non-users versus the overall message for. Current users, we can do that, but I
I don't
don't
think that's
think,
what he wanted.
Huh?
I don't think that was the marching order, was it?
his first question was, we need to help him frame the overall message points
To all users.
So,
to all users.
That's what I'm saying. So what
Right,
I'm,
so if
so,
you're, I think what I'm hearing this group saying is that the message to current users might be different than the message to people who haven't used.
It-
And so if people wanna split it up into those 2 groups, but I still think we need to focus on the message.
I am not disagreeing with anything you just said.
Okay,
What I'm saying is, we might be able to land on a message that checks all of the boxes.
Mhm.
But we first have to know what the boxes are.
okay, continue. 'cause
So
I
the
don't-
boxes are, who's the audience? Right, that's one of the boxes we have to know. Cause that, when you know who your audience is, then you know what your message should
your
be.
audience is me, the
Right.
non-riders and the riders.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure,
pretty
I mean,
much.
right, is it? I think it's everyone, right?
Right,
Another box we need to check might be, I don't know, I'm just,
yeah,
Right.
pulling out stuff like that. I guess what I'm trying to
The main
avoid
things
is.
we can, the most concrete things we can say are current riders, because they are people who, for whatever reason. Want public transit, are most likely to ride the bus.
Mhm.
And then all the examples from the survey, like Aldo Leopold
I was
Nature
thinking about
Center,
the
that
survey.
came up so many
Yeah.
times that they
Mhm.
couldn't find people to work there because they.
Oh,
And
yeah.
other businesses, people at Billy's Daycare are like. Doing crazy things to get to work, so like people working different businesses, like bigger businesses on Monona Drive, I think probably would also be ripe for
That's an
adoption.
audience, yeah.
Whereas like in terms of, I just don't know how, like, even if we said the people who don't use public transit right now in Monona, who are living in Monona and commuting to work elsewhere, it's hard to know without knowing why they are averse to it, to know what would be a selling point marketing wise beyond seeing like the use case, like seeing people using it and being like, oh, like my neighbor uses this every day to go to work and yeah, it's hard to, the most apparent things from the survey seem to be current riders, Aldo Leopold, maybe other businesses along Monona Drive, where it's people coming to Monona from elsewhere. But everything else seems a little more diffuse, like it might be harder to think about a message that targets specific concerns because we don't necessarily know what their concerns are.
I
think
like
we're
that you're
not-
going back to the survey.
I think I think that we need to come up with a more global message. Like, I don't think that we're gonna be able to have the bandwidth here, or I don't think Metro is gonna have the bandwidth to be sending a different message to a whole, but even potentially 2 groups, never mind 10 groups, right?
And it
So-
does
so
seem like
it-
ease
it
is
has
the
to be-
big, like.
Right, so that's why I would,
And I'm not saying that
Right.
I'm not saying that, I mean, at some point, we might say, well, yes, this is an audience, but it's not an important audience. And so we're not gonna focus on it. I'm not saying that all I'm saying is start with define the problem before you define the solution, that's all.
Right.
But the survey is a really important thing not to forget about. I mean, you guys put in tons of work to collect all that feedback, there's, you know?
right, but I mean, if we're talking about overall
Yeah,
message.
yeah.
Then, I mean, we talked from where I started with accessible, convenient, affordable. I wrote down, maybe instead of accessible, it's, get everywhere with ease or.
Yep, it's easy.
Travel
Convenient.
right?
Easy is great.
Easy, right, cause I think the. Getting everywhere with ease is different than the convenient that I was thinking of, because convenient is like, you don't have to have the
Yeah.
change, you don't have to.
Yeah.
Have all these, right, and then, but then we also, we're talking about an overall message of try it, you like it.
Yeah.
Which
First you have
applies to
people-
everybody, right?
Yeah,
Can
Or
you
something
get on the
like
bus
that.
before you
I
talk
see
about all
it's
the
good just
advantages?
to like get over the preemptive, like, I don't like it, something new, it's
Right.
gonna be difficult, and
Yeah,
it's
easy is
like.
good,
Yeah,
But accessible, I think, is still important, because I think there was so many concern when we were going through it, like,
Yeah.
so many people were like. Oh, but I love Monona,
Right,
God, I can't even think of what it's called.
lift.
Lyft, I love Monona Lyft, like, it's gonna be so hard to do this new thing and they're not gonna accept me, and then. So having the reminder that it's easy, it's accessible, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be easy for not just certain people,
Yep.
but everyone.
yep,
What about easy everyone everywhere? Like, if you wanna do like I mean,
Mhm.
I really like easy, we all do.
Mm-hmm.
I like everywhere, even though it's not technically everywhere, it's the idea that we're no longer an island.
Yeah,
And accessibility, I like that too.
yeah.
And I do think, Nancy, I think by identifying the key message points, I think. Your point, Alder, is I think what Metro will do is then, once we kind of have those general themes, they will tailor those themes to start tailoring it to those
Right.
audiences and
right,
answering.
exactly.
More targeting, because like I said, accessible is gonna be different for each audience. I mean, I just said, my own, I said, it's commuters, it's seniors, it's sports fans, it's people with healthcare appointments, people needing to get to the university. And people who've never ridden the bus.
Right,
I mean.
Just kind of, I think you get
I
those general
would-
themes, they're gonna look at those same
Right.
3, and those will apply a little bit differently to each one of those groups.
they
I
could,
think also something like, if we're just throwing in some words.
Yeah.
Reliable would also be good.
Right.
That's a good
For
one.
current riders, like,
yeah.
it's like, first we had this many routes in
thought
the
about
morning,
that
then it
too.
was
Yeah.
fewer, and then there was more, and then they dropped another one, and then sometimes
great
the
one,
bus
actually.
wouldn't come, and then you'd call
Yeah.
for a student, and they'd be like, there's no bus today, so
Yeah.
having like.
Yeah.
a schedule and.
Yeah, Addie still had something way back when, yeah, she still has it, hopefully.
Yeah, I wanted to bring two things into the conversation. One, first of all, is now that we have the timetables, we can actually compare the estimates of how long it's going to take to get uptown on the current express versus Madison Metro. And the difference, at least according to my math, to get downtown to the Capitol is 2 or 3 minutes. Right. So, you know, we can definitely say this is for the people that are used to riding the express. This is just as fast.
Right.
Yeah, fast.
Mhm.
But the important, and I think the more important audience that we want to connect to is in my neighborhood. I'm close enough to Bridge Road that I see the people that walk really long distances in order to get the bus at the outside, to get on the Madison bus on the outside of Monona, right? The people who are walking up to like Flom at Monona Drive to catch the L when it turns, the people that are at like Bridge Road at the last stop before it goes into no service for Monona. There are a lot of people that are riding the bus, but not the express. And so I want to add them in, right? To say that, you know, you've been walking a really big distance to get to the bus. It's closer to you now.
It's closer.
Mhm.
Close.
That'd be
For
accessible.
specifically this audience of, you know, I don't even know what, and I'd love, you know, to see some numbers from Metro as to like how many people pick up these stops just on the periphery of Monona and how those numbers are going to change over the next couple of months, right? Because I know, you know, my neighbor walks from here all the way up to Walgreens at Flom Road every day to catch the bus to go uptown.
Right.
So I'm curious about that audience because they're already transit users and we're really making the system better for them.
Right. So I have, from what I'm listening to, some words that easy, go everywhere, fast, reliable, affordable. That capture?
Accessible.
Like-
Or I guess that's easy, that's pretty.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I was trying to keep us to
Sorry.
three, but that's all right.
No, we can.
But
cut
that's
that
all
out.
right. I'm not a professional marketer. They are.
Yeah.
They
He'll dial
are.
it in,
They'll
if we
figure
give
it
him
out.
this, I think you're
Yeah.
better off giving him a little extra and he'll
That's right.
dial it in.
That's right.
It's
We
okay.
we
That's
don't,
really
we don't have to,
fast.
we're not expected to be the professional markers, we just try
I
to.
think
get
that's
the
slower.
feedback.
What Addie's saying, like, it will be faster for some people who are doing things
Yeah.
like taking a
We have to
long
walk
walk.
so long to,
Yeah,
Right.
and
Yeah.
actually a friend who was staying with us for a while would walk all the way to Buckeye Road from like where we live near Dean to get a Madison bus, but she could do this and then transfer, so
Right.
it would make it faster.
All right, so if we give Madison on this first question, easy or, you know, and I could throw accessible back in there too, but easy, go everywhere, fast, reliable, affordable, and then sort of an overriding message of to Laura's original point, sort of try it, you'll like it, or
Yeah.
give it a shot, or something like that. Again, we're not the professional marketers, if that's what we gave them, does that?
And
work?
the try it, but they deal with that in every
Right,
community.
yeah,
They're
exactly.
still dealing with that in Madison.
Right.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah.
With
Yeah,
3RD.
sure.
For sure, and one of
So
the
they'll-
things that
yeah.
Mick cautioned us about is, I know we wanna see like full buses right out of the gate, cause
Yeah,
we have.
that's
not
There's some sensitivity around people saying for months,
Right.
you know, nobody's gonna
Yeah.
ride it, nobody's gonna ride it,
Right.
and Mick's like, you know. I mean, they're all into it, and we're gonna put our all into
They're
it, but
not
it
gonna
takes
be
time
full
to build.
buses in the
Right,
beginning.
No.
right,
It's gonna be,
exactly,
yeah.
and so it's not like we have to have every single thing done, it's gonna be a long term. You know, the more people use it and ride it and talk
There's
to their
not full
friends
buses
and
now.
word of mouth, huh?
There's not full buses now.
That's
either.
for
I know.
sure.
So it's like, guys, it's not.
Exactly. That's
Yeah, so,
exactly.
well, someone will try to use that as a negative, but it's like, this is about what it says. I've even seen in Sun Prairie as they've gone through, interestingly, is kind of, I think the commuter stuff grew a little slower than I kind of thought it would. But the part that I was shocked at how is just the daytime pickups. If
Right,
I drive around Sun Prairie and I'm like at home on a weekday, if I'm over there, the number of people who are standing at stops waiting
Yep.
for a bus during the middle of the day
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
was
and they're not
significantly
commuting,
higher.
They're,
right,
Yeah, they
And they're
have day
running
trips that they're doing,
errands.
yeah, and that's the part that I think surprised me in terms of how much more interest there was.
Yeah.
right,
On that, and then the commuter, but then without actually having, again, this is just anecdotal, just,
Yeah.
driving around. But then now they have the park and ride that they established while they were over there, and now you watch that lot get, every year, that lot gets a little
More.
fuller in the
Mhm,
morning.
mhm.
And then more and more people start to use it, so it
Right.
does take time to get it to grow.
Right, and the fact that, the affordability piece, the fact that they're not only in terms of the senior student, whatever discounts, but the employer discount. I mean, we have a lot of
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
just like all of Madison, we have a lot of people that are at UW, we have a lot of people that are at Edgewood, I mean, all these places that are,
All the
that
hospitals, they
automatically,
got
the hospitals that automatically.
Yeah,
They could be getting discounts for years and they haven't been, because we've had our own system.
Yeah.
yeah.
So. Not to mention the fact that parking's a nightmare.
One
Yeah, we-
last, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are there any words we want to avoid? Because of what we know about our community? I'm thinking the word safe. If we say
I was
safe,
thinking of that
is
word
that a
too.
smack, is that sort of like is that a backhand jab?
Well,
at us?
also, I don't think it responds to concerns
Right,
of people who are making a decision about whether to ride the bus.
okay,
I thought of the word safe in connection with high school,
yeah,
which
Yeah.
to me is like a large potential audience. I just can't believe the cars.
Yeah.
And if you get drivers when they're 16
yeah,
to get used to.
it is, I mean,
transit.
it is safe. It is a safe mode
But
of
that's, but
transportation.
there's
But
an
they're-
indirect.
the kids
The
are
opposite of
not-
that is
but
the-
But the kids are not getting on the bus because they
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
feel safe.
Right.
The
No.
16-year-olds are not
No,
driving their
no,
cars, they
but
don't
their
feel safe.
parents.
They're-
Driving their
right,
cars, because they need
Right.
a vape.
Right.
And as far as audiences go, is all of Monona our audience, not just bus riders?
Apparently not.
You know what I'm
Doesn't
saying?
Sound like it.
Like,
And maybe that's okay, at least
the
initially.
neighbor, everybody along the route, is that also like, if there's gonna be posters all around town, I'm just trying to like think of that's what brainstorming is about. You brainstorm everything and then you whittle it down. So theoretically, every resident in Monona is an audience. They're, I mean,
They are,
The
they're all
people-
gonna get the
right,
information.
right, so to say safe. Even if someone will never set foot on a bus, the bus goes down their street and they might. I'm not advocating for it, I'm just throwing it out for discussion.
It certainly was an issue in the survey, but I don't,
That came up time and time again, was the safety of
I
it
think
all.
that was more of an opposition.
Yeah, I don't, yeah.
I want to kind of pair it in. I have a little hesitation about using the word easy. I mean, I think riding the bus is easy, but I'm not a car driver, right? I think people see when I need to go someplace, I just jump in my car and go as
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
And the
Mm,
bus
good point.
Yeah,
is a little bit more difficult
Sure.
than that
Yeah.
because you do have to kind
Yeah,
of
that's a good
check the
point.
schedule and plan it out. So I feel
Right.
a little hesitation with calling it easy.
Okay.
I like
Right.
relaxed or maybe convenient.
yeah,
Or the idea of I can read my book or listen to podcasts while
Leaving the driving.
while
to
I'm
somebody else, right.
commuting.
yeah.
I like
That's
those
actually,
kind of
that'd be a good
messages.
slogan, or slogan, leave the driving to someone else.
Yes,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So easy always feels a little awkward to me because we're unfortunately for the people for the people who spend most of their time in their car, riding the bus isn't
It's
easy.
not easy.
And,
It's not as
and it
easy.
feels a little
It's not.
disingenuous to say that.
Good point.
Right.
And I would think that to that point, Addie, I think if you're looking at, people who are that audience who are already car drivers, I totally agree. For seniors,
Yeah, yeah,
easy is, that message for a senior who maybe hasn't done it or isn't car dependent and then for them, that's a big deal.
Right.
That it is actually, it's not complicated, it is I don't have to figure out how to pay for the, I mean, it is not a huge complicated process. I think for a senior who hasn't read, then easy might be a little bit more of an important message than what you're saying in terms of for regular drivers. I think you're right on point with that. So
Yeah,
I think that's a little bit of the general easy in terms of, or I think we had easy / convenient / accessible.
Right.
It's kind of a category.
right,
For each of those audiences, I think it does get a little different, and then, yeah, their lens is gonna be a little more different than that.
right.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
sometimes it means it's inclusive of people of different issues and in some ways. Accessible means like. A lot of people can use it because it's simple, it's not overly complex, so maybe.
Absolutely,
simple.
yeah.
Yeah,
Simple enough to access.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right, those two audiences will look at that level of how important that factor is
Mhm.
very differently, I think. Annie was right on point with that, I think.
When we think about like why the conversation even started in the first place, let's bring Metro to Monona. Wasn't it all because Monona had sort of become an island?
No,
There was really no way to get in and out of Monona unless you had a car. I mean, that was what people were saying, right? When the one guy showed up and said, Monona's kind of like a black hole. You can't really come in, you can't really get out unless you've got a car. Or, you know, if you're lucky enough to work downtown and only need to get on a bus, you know, but I just
Well, but that
wonder,
was
is
for
there?
a small number of people though, those are the people that were looking for the bus or already taking the bus and feeling, or wanted to take a bus and couldn't because of Monona, but I
Oh.
don't think that vast majority of Monona feels like I don't think, I didn't get the impression that a majority of Monona thinks that we're an island. I think
Oh,
I think
thought-
I think it was for the Kool-Aid drinkers, we're
Oh.
saying it's an island. For Addie, who's already using the bus, it's an island, or for you.
But I thought the
Well, for developers
was-
and employers.
Yeah, they can't
you
bring
know.
people in because all we had was our own homegrown bus system. Now we're part of a regional network. With this addition, now we're finally part of a regional network, whereas before we just had Monona Express and it was, you know, Monday through Friday, a couple times in the morning, a couple times in the evening. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I guess what I'm thinking is though, in terms of messaging, we need to be hitting on values for
Okay.
individuals. And so I don't know that it feels a little bit too,
I was thinking back to that
Heady or
everywhere,
esoteric.
you know, the whole thing, like it feels like
right, going.
we're
already have-
connecting to everywhere,
Right.
whereas before we weren't.
Right, so
Getting
we
back
have
to that
everywhere
word.
is one of the words.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or getting back to that
It's
theme,
accessible.
getting back to that
Accessibility.
theme of now you
Right.
can go places.
Yeah,
now
I
you
think we've
can-
got the words and we can
Yeah.
play in the interest of time. We've got some really great words here and themes. And I just was gonna use this thesaurus, but we're already 40 minutes in and we're not on the first
Connected.
question.
That's a pretty good word.
I love
Connect,
I like
connected.
Okay. Great. So the next one was, where do we wanna put fast fare cards? Again, I'll throw out some thoughts that I had just as a starting point. I had City Hall. I had both Quick Trips because they're one end or the other
Yeah,
of
excellent.
Monona
Yeah.
Drive. The library, even though it's, you know, has better hours than City Hall.
Mhm.
The schools. And I was trying to think of the best places on Broadway, probably Metro Mart is one,
Mhm.
and
I
maybe.
feel like, I don't know, Ken's is kind of small, but a lot of.
Oh, yeah,
There's a lot of
folks
traffic.
go there,
Yeah,
and
see,
there's, like,
Andy says good go.
Yeah, like, there's a
Yeah.
lot of traffic.
Yeah.
It's a lot of regional traffic, not just local
For
traffic.
Bonnie's,
True.
like if you ever go in at lunchtime to Bonnie's, if they
Yep.
have the cards, it's like a. And I feel like there's a little more sense of community there, and so
Yeah.
that people could say, oh, I heard that there were cards here.
Yeah. Well, what about on Broadway besides Metro Mart? Is there?
What's
that's one
the
in-
gas station at the Dutch Mill Park and Ride?
Oh, yeah.
Because that
Yeah.
gas station is very heavily used by people
Mhm.
coming in and out of our community on the buses that drop in
point.
and off the Dutch Mill.
Mhm.
Is there not in Monona like a chamber of commerce or a?
There
business?
is, but they don't really have, right, like
don't
a
have
physical
that.
office, yeah.
No, but I mean, wouldn't that be a place to reach all retailers and say, who wants to
Oh,
carry our
yeah.
cards?
Yeah, we have MESBA,
Yeah.
we can certainly
yeah.
ask them if they're businesses, yeah. I mean, they don't, they don't have to charge up the cards or anything, they're just handing out plastic like you would
Yeah.
in a hotel room. And-
Where did you get yours, Addie?
I actually filled out the form on the website and had it mailed to me.
I went to the Hawthorne Library, all the Madison libraries,
Mhm.
and when they give you the card, they say, now you understand that you need to create it.
You need
know,
to
they-
really- right.
You really need something to say to people, because if you just hand them the card.
But
Yeah, no, they have all that.
Yeah.
They'll
All the
do all
instructions
that,
and
and
they,
then we just use a
Right.
low location.
Yeah.
They've done
Yeah.
all a million times over.
Okay.
Is Hawthorne, so Hawthorne Library already has,
They've got them
All the
already.
all we have
Madison
to worry about
libraries
is the
have
Monona
them. All the
Library.
Madison.
Yeah,
libraries
so-
have them.
So where on Broadway, I have the gas station at Park and Ride, I have Metro Mart, so we need one somewhere maybe down by Southtown. And
Yeah, that's what I was
so,
thinking. It's trying to think where would be the
Oh,
best.
there's a
Yeah.
PDQ down over there.
No.
it's another quick
Well,
trip.
there's a quick.
Oh,
Trip.
so there'd be 3 quick trips.
Oh, that's the one,
Yeah,
quick trip there.
Mhm.
I was thinking of
Yeah.
the quick trip across from Pier 37 and the
Oh.
quick trip right across from.
Oh, yeah, the
Yeah.
quick trip.
Monona Drive.
on
So
the
the
south
3 of
side.
them,
would
okay,
be-
so 3 quick trips,
Three
okay,
quick
that's
trips,
cool,
That would be good.
yeah.
What
Ooh.
about special events that we have throughout the next year
Coming up.
where we could have an opportunity to hand them out? Like, I'm thinking how fun it would be to get a bus to go through the Memorial Day parade and give out cards and candies as,
Yes.
celebrating the bus.
Yeah.
Similarly, if we have a July 4th festival, or if we're having the music and movies in the parks events, like what are those community events where potentially, a stack of 20 of those could go real quick?
Well, Neil, you had
Well,
said
farmers
about
market.
farmers
Farmers
market,
market.
that would
Yeah.
be, if they could bring a bus and people could, in a pretty like chill environment, go on and.
Farmers market for
Like-
sure, and they
Mhm.
did that in other communities,
amazing.
and it seems to
That's a
me.
big hit, yeah.
Parks and Rec always does it.
Ironically, though, the farmers market is not served by the bus. It's Sunday morning. The 38 doesn't have service. You got to walk from the intersection of Broadway and Monona on the G or the L to get to the market. So it
Yeah.
is a little bit like, but
Yeah, but Park
good
and Rec
opportunity.
also does a big Easter push, so, and that's closer to
Oh,
our
the
launch and it's
Anton's-
earlier in the year.
Yeah,
Easter's-
yeah. Mhm.
So maybe,
All the
and we
Parks
should
and Rec
just check
stuff.
with Park and Rec and our other departments in terms of
Mhm.
events, to your
Mhm.
point. Um,
But I'm looking primarily just for locations, like more permanent locations right now.
yeah,
I think all the event stuff, I think we can do those on the
Right.
fly, I mean. you
So
guys-
permanent locations, we have City Hall, Library,
3 quick trips,
3, yep,
schools,
Madison, Metro Market.
Metro Market, Ken's.
Metro Market, Ken's / Forboni's, and the gas station at the Park and Ride.
High school,
It's pretty good coverage, I think.
Yeah,
high school and MG 21, is that what
Mhm.
you're thinking, as far as
um,
schools? Or are you thinking like,
yeah, I mean,
Sure, I mean, why would you not?
right,
yeah, okay,
Yeah, I think I told you guys in Madison that at least the first summer, they gave all the high school students over the summer a free card.
wow,
right.
No, you know what, those kids are riding the bus.
that's a wonderful.
Yeah, and that was mentioned before, I'm just not saying, we certainly can't afford that, and I'm not saying the school.
I don't know who
can
paid
afford
for
that
it,
right now,
I don't know who
But they
paid
might
for
be able to
The
find.
city, I think at the last meeting, they said the city or
Was
the
it?
district paid for, I mean, yeah,
Right,
someone.
and I'm not, for some reason, I'm not saying that district is being.
Just throw it in there, Addie.
Yeah.
Just go ahead.
yeah, I can't tell if
So,
I speak up over people, if you guys can hear me or not. I'd add in city schools, City High School, which is in the WPS area.
One city.
And
Yeah.
WPS.
Yeah,
Yeah, So might be crazy, but
That's good.
since we do have an issue with parking, and part of the parking issue is that we have kids driving from Cottage Grove. Do we want to also have it out at the new school in Cottage Grove?
School.
Middle
Middle school? But does the bus go out there?
Sure it does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the C goes out Cottage Grove Road, a good ways out, at least that direction. I
So
don't
the
know if it actually goes
Metro
to the
Market out
school.
there. Nancy, do you mean the Metro Market on the way out? Is that what you mean?
Or the
On
school
Cottage-
itself.
Or the school itself?
Yeah, I was thinking more about the school itself, just because if we could keep or Metro Mart out there, because if kids started taking the bus, that have to come, instead of driving their car, and parents knew their kids could hop a bus to come into high school.
Then, like, if they start, you mean if they start adopting in middle school, they might be more likely to in high school?
Or they pick, or because they're available at Metro Mart, they know they can get
Oh,
the C
yeah.
bus if they're high schooler
Yeah.
instead of driving their car. Right
Guess
now,
they're-
they don't have a
yeah.
choice, right now.
Yeah.
It's
Or they-
$1,
or they're not
$1
utilizing.
for a student.
Yeah, jeez, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so,
I mean, I'm just thinking if we could do anything
Yeah,
to
that
cut
would fit
down on
me
the
as a
amount of
parent.
traffic coming,
Yeah.
the amount of parking.
That would
coming.
almost be an independent marketing effort. So I think the school would be
Yeah.
interested in that, and it just, as you kind of would deploy something, it's like, hey, how would we get more students to be able to take the bus specifically for that, like for the high school specifically?
Mhm.
I think that's something the high school, that the city and Metro could, it's almost a separate project, it seems like, cause I agree, that would be a great thing, if the more kids you get riding that and relieving that, the neighborhood would be happy, parents would be happy. I mean, everybody would be, that would be a great thing.
Right.
So on the brainstorm, we have outreach to the high school, MG21, One City Schools. I mean, I just don't know how you want to use this.
We're
If
just
you
gonna have
don't
to
want-
take our notes to put
Yeah,
into the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess I'm just saying, like, if it's already on the list, it's already on the list, but
Right, we're just gonna add to the list, but we
Yeah.
don't do it in the spreadsheet right now for the living store.
From the senior center, they would just come here for cards or go to the library.
You should probably have some.
Or have some
senior
right-
center.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
senior
some senior center.
Yeah.
Particularly because it seems like there'd probably be someone there, whoever's giving them out there would be good at explaining.
Yeah,
Yeah, Diane's getting hooked up with their people specifically to help seniors through Ferry Transit as
Yeah.
well as
Oh, good.
Good,
the new system.
Yep.
good.
So she's participating in our Friday meetings, cause I know she's obviously on top of that, and she wants to actually go to Monona Hills and, and all and Heritage and others to explain to people,
Good.
so.
that'll be hugely helpful.
Yeah,
Good for her.
so
we had, how many events I mean, I guess, I don't
we're
know.
not gonna worry about the
Okay.
events right now,
Okay.
we're gonna focus on,
I was,
as Neil said, it's more of a plug-in.
finishing of my sentence was it's senior center, that's.
Yeah.
I didn't get the chance to finish my sentence. So you were talking about senior centers, are you talking about like having like events at the senior center? Is that what you mean?
Just want to have cards available at the
Oh,
small
the
cards.
senior centers
Yeah.
and drop off
Another place,
locations,
yeah,
got it,
yeah.
got it.
So, next question. And we can always, if somebody thinks of something else while we're moving through the questions, pre or after, it doesn't matter. We're not seeing Nick until Friday. And obviously we can always add to stuff. Where do we wanna put up posters?
Well, those places, those same places.
Aldo Leopold.
Yep.
Walgreens on Plum Road.
It's a good one.
Um,
And Cottage Grove Road.
Yeah.
oh, Los Perez. formerly La Rosita. Would probably be a good place. If they can do a Spanish language
Yep,
poster, that'd be awesome.
absolutely. It's almost largely the same list, I would say.
And actually, KinderCare, La Petite, any other institutional
Good idea.
type
Yeah.
daycare would be good.
Good idea.
I would
You
also target the social gathering points in Monona, places like, Wayfair and BW3 and Red Cardinal, the burger joint.
Robin.
Thank you, Red Robin. I knew it was some bird. A silver
Crema
eagle,
Cafe, I
hence
guess those are
another color
Madison.
bird.
Yeah.
Get up
Yep.
at the Muskie, especially because of it doesn't run super late at night, but there is that nice added benefit of maybe this is another way to get around than if you're driving under questionable influence.
Right.
So I
Yeah,
add the
right.
social
Mhm.
gathering points.
It might be a little different audience too, than you're getting at those other spots, so that's a good idea too.
Yeah,
I
that's
like
right.
that. You might be,
That's right.
you'll be getting to more people or like maybe a different section of the community too.
Mhm.
So I got Red Robin, Muskie, Waypoints, Hully's. The hotels?
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, it wouldn't.
Why
I think it would be a
not?
good one. The reason I would say that
Why
is I
not?
think for
Visitors
Badger
to
Sports,
downtown, right,
especially is like people
Yeah.
like realizing they can take the bus down, get down to the Cole Center, to Camp Randall.
Boy, that's true.
that's a really good point.
So I think that's not a bad idea.
Obviously, Buck and Honey's would be one of those.
Yeah.
gathering
Yeah,
points.
yeah.
So I'm trying to think of the parking lots that are most full in terms of Red Robin, Muskie, Waypoint, Tully's,
On Broadway,
W3.
Off
on
Broadway?
Broadway.
Broadway.
Yeah,
Yep. Those primary.
There's a couple other places where a Spanish language poster would be appropriate.
Mhm.
Oh, the,
Arena and
at
the,
the Monona Bakery.
yeah, yeah.
The new Chinese place is pretty popular. That's Mexican.
oh, is it open?
Yeah,
I haven't been there yet,
it's
what's it called again?
Swan.
La Choza del Viejo.
Oh, yeah.
Where is that?
It's on Monona Drive. It might be the same
It's the old
thing as.
sushi place, the old Ado Garden.
That's right.
Oh, no,
No,
that's
that's Mexican place.
That's what I'm,
well, the Chinese place is Mexican.
What?
We can go into this later.
It's a little confusing, yeah.
But that place isn't open.
that's what I was thinking. you
Oh,
were talking about. Okay, yeah.
The other one is, it used to be a Chinese place as well, but it's maybe on the same thing as Salvatore's further down.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yes,
but
I
it's
know what
very
you're
popular,
talking
so
about.
that would be.
I know what you're talking about.
The strip,
Yeah.
the multi-tenant.
Yeah, by the,
Okay,
Yeah.
and then the Mexican.
Yeah, I mean,
place,
if they're
although-
gonna do a Spanish language one, we should think of all the different places that
Mhm.
could be relevant.
Along that line, let's throw exercise places in. I know there's, of course, Mala Yoga. Kat Casey will be totally on board with this because a lot of her yoga instructors ride the bus to try and get to Mala to instruct. And we also have the quick workout place that's just across from Flom next to MG21. And then where else do people go to get exercise, indoor
Anytime.
exercise facilities?
Anytime, yeah.
Anytime Fitness and then,
So like
Place in
we
South
said,
Town.
we'll
Ooh,
see ourselves.
Burn Boot Camp. Just on the
Mhm.
border of Monona, but definitely going to be served.
Okay. The thing about posters is that you can print a lot.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing, is something, yeah, like as long as they would, however many, hopefully have like a nicer stock to actually, this so they last and they stand for a while. But to have a PDF of something we can just run off of,
Yeah,
it's 11 by
Yeah.
17 or whatever it is, when hey, we just thought of another dozen ideas. We can run them on the copier and get them out, that'd be awesome, so.
yeah. Yeah,
I wonder, does it make sense to work through MESBA and have MESBA reach out to their businesses?
Well, I think that's
or-
more of like an email. I think if we gave them like a
Yeah.
PDF or something that
But
they
not
could
for
blast out.
posters.
Yeah, we can certainly say if anyone's interested,
Yeah.
let us know. We'd be
Yeah.
happy to send them one. But yeah, they'll be more than happy to share that out with.
Yeah, we can't
Whatever.
really present at MESBA, at least unless Christine's changed
What's
her,
MESBA?
changed it to MESBA is the.
East Side Business Association.
Madison East Side Business. So it's Monona businesses but we're not allowed separate, that's why we have Edge. The only people that can present at MESBA are MESBA people. We're not allowed, so we can do it through Christine, but we can't
I
do a
wasn't,
presentation for.
Yeah, no, just,
that's
yeah.
not what I meant.
Wasn't saying that you
Oh.
were saying that, I was just sharing additional information.
Oh, okay.
One place, I don't know if it was mentioned, but the UW Health Clinic that's off of.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah, the clinic.
That
Yeah,
would be
and
good.
Yeah.
Mariner and
Yeah.
Mariner, yeah, both of them right there.
Mhm.
Both health clinics would be good.
That's a good point.
Cause I feel like the posters will be especially good for people who are not very online, and we have to think about people who are
Right.
not
Yeah.
very online,
right.
where they most reliably go.
Addie, tell something again?
Yeah, I was actually looking at the rollout plan and we're talking about signs, and this is kind of a dumb question, but when will Metro be putting up the route signs through Monona? Because ultimately, we're talking about kind of businesses and informing people, but we're also running a route geographically through Monona. And that is going to also be part of what we want to highlight. We had thought at one point about printing, yard signs, almost like, in political campaign signs almost. Be like, hey, this is part of the new Metro route. This is part of the Metro route. But I know that Metro is also going to be putting up like their official Metro signs at some point. And I don't see that on the rollout. So I kind of wanted to ask too about this, like the actual route signage coming into our
We'll
community.
find
and if we
out.
can enhance
We
that.
don't have an exact date from them. It most likely won't be Metro per se. We've already, if you walk around town, you'll see the posts are already in a lot of the stops.
Cool.
And Public Works
Yeah.
has been doing the stops.
Oh,
They've been doing, we budgeted it and the stops are already being created and the signposts are already there. So when Metro actually comes out or hands off the signage to Public Works to attach it to the posts to create the stuff, I don't know, but we'll find out from Mick. We can find out in the next few weeks.
Yeah, I think that Director Stefani was assuming that was gonna be kind of a 3 to 4 weeks ahead of
Yep.
the actual launch.
Right,
So it would be sometime next spring when the actual signs would go up, so.
right.
And right at that time of the year where we're gonna have those big ugly gray snow piles on both sides of the
yeah,
road, it's
yeah,
really
oh, yeah.
hard to put a
Yeah.
sign up anywhere.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll roll out yard signs with the bus route in the spring or something.
So Addie, your point takes us nicely to the next one, which was ideas or changes for media not yet captured on the spreadsheet. Do we want to do something like yard signs, or do we feel like the combination of all the posters going everywhere, and especially given that we're talking winter,
Mm,
and there's already gonna be yard signs
Yeah.
up because of the election?
People are burnt out on yard signs.
Okay.
I feel like.
Okay. So that being the case, are there any other ideas looking at the spreadsheet that we've missed? We've got VMO, we've got the paper. We haven't got some other papers, right, in Madison, although I'm assuming,
I think Metro,
Metro will do that,
Releases,
like
yeah.
Cap Times or the
Mhm.
Journal,
Yeah, David Wahlberg has been very good about covering Monona
or
stuff.
the Isthmus,
Yeah,
getting
Isthmus would be a
coverage
good
of the
one.
Isthmus. Are there
and,
any other media that we're missing?
I was just looking at, Mick is gonna get something in the senior center newsletter,
Mhm.
but I don't know what the due dates are for the other newsletters. Did we wanna think about those other newsletters, or maybe, so like there's the library has a newsletter. The city has a newsletter, the deadline's tomorrow.
Well,
Was there anything else that you wanted to think about? Just Thinking of things that are not on the list yet. Other newsletters.
I don't know of any other department, if people know of other departments besides senior center and library.
Yeah.
I think the general, the
And the city.
overall one.
And then just the
one would
city
be a good one.
newsletter,
City
yeah.
one would be a good one.
We
Okay.
already have
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, it should be on there.
We could
The
reach out to
schools-
Ward to see, cause they have like a pretty
Well,
healthy
they'd be
news operation
interested, I
and
would
they do
think.
like
Would
interviews.
be
And then
fantastic.
and then they put them online so that even if you didn't get it, you could get a summary.
That's actually really great, because we're thinking only about our own, I mean, that's really great.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of ways that people who live in
Yeah.
Monona, but are kind of not tuned into the local media.
We also could probably do a piece, is it? Is it NBC that has, one of the editors or one of the reporters at NBC, like is Mary's next door neighbor, and she's done a bunch of coverage
Oh, I don't know.
for spots on it.
Yeah, it could be.
I can find out. I think it's NBC, local NBC channel. I mean, that's how it's one of the ways of how we got like snow snake coverage and other things on
Yeah.
the spots because of that, so I can check with Mary.
You know who
That's who
has,
she is.
I'm just thinking, should do something with the MESBA newsletter. I had, again, this was just a
Yeah.
massive brain dump of
That's
anything I could
fantastic.
think of. I mean, it's not what we have to do, it's just like a brain dump. So if anything, we should remove things from the list if you think it's too much. Just because it's here doesn't mean we need to do it. But yeah, MESBA has a newsletter and Christine would probably, employers would wanna know, right? You know,
Mhm.
about Monona.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so that could be a good way to reach them.
Do they
Um,
actually have a physical newsletter?
They do. They have a couple different digital newsletters coming out a couple
But they're
times a month.
digital ones.
Yeah, but
Okay.
still, there's a deadline for submissions and things like that.
Right,
we'd
but
have
I'm
to
just,
catch.
I was
Yeah.
just differentiating it from, cause like the senior center doesn't do a digital, it's a paper one.
Right,
And I
right,
think they're the only ones to do a paper one.
I think
right?
so.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
So
So
that's just
paper.
another
Right.
media
Yep,
outlet.
yep.
Yeah.
Where are the posters gonna send people? What are the posters gonna say?
Yeah,
I think Metro handles that.
Mhm.
I mean, we'll definitely
Yeah,
handle
If it
it.
just puts a website, then we're missing something.
Well, I imagine that's what they're, like the words we were brainstorming, we could
Right.
probably.
Okay.
Exactly, they're gonna use.
Okay, so
They're
it's
gonna
not,
use our messaging and then
Okay.
they're gonna drive people to.
Well, I guarantee you it'll have,
QR
it'll have a
code.
QR code
Yeah.
or a website or
Oh,
it'll be.
QR.
So, but it'll give them, it'll be a very high level, hey, announcing service to Mona starts March 3rd.
Yep.
Go here for more information. Yeah, so I mean, they'll have something. They'll have something that's gonna attract attention. Like I said, these marketing guys know exactly what they're doing. And they'll get it on there, but yeah, the idea is to actually want them to engage on the other stuff, because they're more likely to actually, since it's already on. Might as well buy or order a pass or do a listings, because you're already there, then where you need to be. So, but certainly awareness is one thing, but then they'll also wanna get them to try to actually pull a trigger and order their passes or whatever they need to do that. They'll wanna see action, and we have something measurable from that if they
Yeah.
can, so.
Any place, any other. Ideas or add additions or whatever for media.
So one thing to put, I guess, a note, Nancy, I guess would
Yeah.
add, I don't know, we don't know exactly, assuming that we come to an agreement with Adams on their lease. Their build time's
Yes.
pretty fast.
Yeah,
So if they get approved in like in January,
Oh,
there's
wow,
a
sure.
there's a good chance they may be up and running.
Which building is that?
This is a possible digital billboard on the Beltline. Whiskey Park,
Yeah.
if there's still that's not for sure yet, but if that would have been, I know they would be more than happy to get the city.
yeah, they
Time to put
guarantee
that
us
out.
that we can promote city events and things.
Yeah.
That's great.
They'd be more, I think they'd love to put maybe more, that's a no-brainer, we're talking up there for that, so.
Well, now you got me thinking then, what about? It's not a digital billboard, but
Mhm.
down at the corner of Monona Drive and Broadway, there's like that. It's stone,
That's nothing ever
but
on
you
it,
can change the announcement.
yeah,
Not anymore.
yeah, unfortunately, I think
Oh.
DOT shut it down.
Yeah, they were
Because it's so
built
distracting, yeah.
there and on then there's one there at Bridge.
Yeah.
At Bridge, and then there's another one at the corner of Monona Drive and Broadway, and
Yeah.
we spent a ton of money. Building them for those announcements, and then was it the
I think it
DNR
was
or
DOT, I
DOT
think.
that made us take them out?
That,
Yeah,
Might be worth rechecking those again at some point and asking
if we could get.
if we could get those back at some point, but.
what was the reasoning?
So was this, they said that's too much of a
Distraction.
distraction to driving. Which I'm like, yeah, but yet they'll promote and allow,
Yeah, huge.
he's 75, but yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense.
What about
So-
the sign down here at the park where we changed the letters
yeah.
around? Would
Yeah,
that be an option to like use the sign at the, what do you
Yeah,
call those
yeah.
signs? I don't even know. You put the letters on and numbers
Yeah.
on them.
Letter sign.
Letter sign.
Last I knew,
Yeah,
although
that
I
would
think
be-
it's changed since then, but I mean, for a while, Jake had lost the key, couldn't find the key.
Oh.
And
You'll have to ask one, yeah.
he's the one who changed that, and so for a while, I was like, Jake,
What's
we haven't
in
changed that sign, and he
That's
goes,
hilarious.
oh, we can't find the key anywhere." So,
And then the library has one too on the hill.
Yeah,
Mm.
Yes, they do.
Maybe they could put up a little like
Mhm.
service
There's
starts,
it
whatever.
at the park.
Mhm.
What's that?
There's one right in, when you, speaking of the library, there's one right at Winnicott Park.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yep.
It's
yeah,
what you're
yeah,
talking about.
yeah.
Okay,
Huh.
anything else? Okay, then the question becomes pictures
Yeah.
of Monona, like route stop, somebody getting on a bus. General, I mean, I'm sure that Metro's gotta have pictures, generic pictures of people getting.
Yeah, that's what's, the other thing we do have available is MESPA does have a media library of photos.
They do?
They do have, that they're working on and growing constantly, but
That was-
we'll help them
Growing
get
it
it
with
started
them.
on a lot of it, but I think they actually have. From a lot of the events and different things, I think that'd be a good first resource to check. That they would let us. We helped pay for that with tourism funding, so.
Is anybody here currently? Addie, or I'm looking at you, or
You read
Jillian,
my mind.
especially, are you currently getting on the Metro at all?
like once a week.
Once a week?
Come on, Eddie, you got your
No.
phone, just take a picture.
No,
of yourself.
I'm still riding my bike this year, so
That's a great.
What was that?
I'm still riding my bike this year.
Oh,
It
okay,
has
that's
gotten
good.
so
Yeah.
snowy that I switch over to the bus. So it's usually in the next 2 weeks or so, depending on the season, that I switch over to being a bus rider from being a
Well,
bicyclist.
even with the next couple of weeks, I mean,
Yeah.
it would, even though I'm sure they have some canned pictures,
Yeah.
honestly, if there were people.
So would they want
That-
pictures of the stops?
Pictures of the stops, like somebody at the
People
stop,
getting
or
on the
pictures
bus.
getting
Yeah.
on the
Bus
bus,
rider.
and like, even if it was like a
Yeah,
selfie,
okay.
or you hand
Yeah.
your phone to
Alright.
somebody that's getting on the
Yeah.
bus with
Okay,
you and say,
for
can
the
you take a
next time I
picture of
ride
me
the
flying to
bus.
see it?
Yeah.
Or doing the fast,
Yeah,
doing the
yeah.
fare card.
We could.
Right inside the
reflect
door.
Some diversity here.
Huh?
We could
Yes.
reflect some-
That's a really
Absolutely.
good point.
Completely agree.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Where-
could also
where
just
could we
go
send
to the
photos?
Madison BRT station outside my office. Just people getting on.
That'd be great.
Yeah, no, yeah,
That'd be
yeah.
great.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm
Right.
guessing they have a lot of just the standard pieces, so if they just need,
Should.
they just need Monona's
They
stuff.
need
Okay,
more
just
Monona.
Yeah, they need
pictures,
more
Right.
stuff,
okay,
so yeah.
Monona.
So.
Yeah, once it starts snowing, I'll stop riding my bike as well, so.
Love it.
But how are you gonna get
Is there a place we
pictures
could?
of the bus in Monona when the bus is not in Monona?
Well, that's just it, I mean, you're gonna have to
I
use,
don't
you're
think
just,
you're
for now,
Just
you
the
just have to
sign,
use just people
or-
getting on the bus.
Yeah.
And
It's not gonna be large, it's just, you know what I mean,
They're
it's,
gonna Photoshop it.
well, I don't
It's
think.
not like the bus doesn't, I mean, the buses are on Broadway, right? in our
Yeah.
Monona Drive, they
Yeah.
don't stop a lot, but they do stop.
I mean, they're just gonna get, I don't think there's gonna be, there's gonna be no need to drop a Monona back, I mean, the whole poster or theme is, the media, whatever is gonna be using it is gonna have a Monona theme to it. Even if the photo itself doesn't have a Monona
Yeah.
specific thing, subject to the photo.
Though,
So-
I wonder if they'd be amenable to us taking pictures of Monona local celebrities holding up their fast fare cards, like. There's a librarian who's always doing like social media posts.
Oh, absolutely,
Like,
they'd love
We
that,
could just get a picture of her being like.
no, they'd love that,
Like Angelica or whatever. it
Just
is.
like
I
we-
can't
just
remember,
just
we
like
did-
that.
yeah, no, they'd love that, I think,
And
yeah.
it's like,
Fine.
maybe that would be better than like a kind of lame picture of a bus stop in December.
Well, that's what I mean,
Or,
what-
I mean, I'll try my best.
Yeah, no,
Adam and
that-
I will try. our
actually, that would
best.
be great, because if we could get some fast fare cards, like, I bet we could
Yeah.
get. Chief
Let's see
Cheney, I bet we could
Yeah.
get,
Yeah.
right, we could get Jerry or Dan, I mean, we could
exactly.
get some of our firefighters, we could get our
Really-
Oh, that's a
policemen, we
good
could
idea.
get.
Let me
Yeah.
That's
make
all
a
right.
note.
Parks and
Yeah.
Rec people, that's great.
And people could just take a selfie and send it in, and then we'll could throw it up on the the city
Yeah.
Facebook page, like every, have another person with
Or I
their.
could go there and do, put it in portrait mode, if
Yeah.
want something fancy, you know?
Yeah,
I'm gonna make a note to
Chi-Chi,
send a
that would be
list of people
fantastic.
to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I
Good
would
idea.
say to everybody, just like. Get creative, snap away, and then
Well, I'm thinking I
We
could
could-
get some diversity.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
that's
So
fantastic.
where would we send them? Photos?
Just email
Uh,
them to you.
yeah, I would say just email them to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll just compile all the photos
Yeah.
into one folder
Yeah.
for.
So, yes,
We
that's-
don't
so-
have a central, I guess maybe as we take them, we could just send them to the commission so that no one's asking the same people.
Mhm,
No repeats.
Mhm.
mhm.
Yeah,
Maybe,
I know. Get Jaco with a fair card.
the dog.
Yeah.
Oh, he- yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be good.
Like with his little mouth or like holding the police dog, that'd be so.
He's probably one of our biggest celebrities right now, yeah, so.
Yeah, he is. That's why I was thinking about it, you know, so it's like, what else goes up in social media, right?
Or
That's
the
like,
high school mascot.
Is there a high school
Oh, is it
mascot?
like an eagle?
Silver
Silver
eagle.
eagle?
They don't have
I
an outfit, do
suppose,
they?
huh?
Do they have like a animal
Maybe
outfit?
they do.
I know at middle
Yeah.
school, they've got Hootie the Owl, which is hilarious,
Oh,
but I don't know if they have any at the high school.
The owl would be cute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, those people, cause I mean, like, the people getting on and off the bus, I mean, people are gonna have, they've got
Yeah,
that stuff.
they've got.
They're gonna have those, so I think anything we can do, and since we don't have actual stops up yet, well, the thing we need to do is we need to get, the people with their passes or in front of a bus or that's to make it the more
Or
local
Monona
connection.
landmark, there's enough places where
Yeah.
you'd say, well, that's.
Yeah,
Like
except
someone
it's winter.
working at Ferboni's with their Ferboni's apron.
Holding up
holding
a,
Yeah,
like,
no,
because that's
absolutely.
a place where you can buy a pass, that's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it'd be a great little advertisement for their business,
yeah, exactly.
Right,
I like it.
it is.
I'm envisioning like this big collage of all these faces holding up
That
their
would be
cards and then
cool.
it says, get on board,
That
you
might-
know,
yeah, That
like,
might be more
join-
visually compelling
join
than
us, you know?
kind of standard bus.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that could be really cool,
no, they'll love anything
local.
local that can help target that,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
mean,
would say
I'm
we have to-
reminded of La Rositas, which is now La Perez. right?
Yeah.
They just, but, you know, on the weekends, it's a party in there, like, it's so much fun. You know, they have literally, people are, you know, sitting at tables, dining in the middle of the aisles when you go grocery shopping. on the
Mhm.
Yeah.
weekends, and they've got music playing loud and everybody's
Mhm.
eating from the back cafe and from the restaurant and.
Yeah,
It's like, and so it would be great to capture
Mhm.
that, you know, again, with Ferboni's too, same
Yeah.
thing, you know, it's a way
Or
to.
like a Ken's apron or wherever they,
Yeah.
wherever the cards are. gonna
Something
be
with
for
like a
sale.
distinctive local
Yeah.
Yeah.
image.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which also, I mean, when I was talking about Monona needs to raise its squad, you know, raise
Yeah.
its We have the best ethnic restaurants.
Oh, no
in the
kidding.
Drive Barn
We
Yard in
really
the
do.
entire city. I mean, it shows a variety and
Mhm.
both groceries and restaurants. And I think we need to highlight that more because it really is special. When you think about across Monona Drive too, the Vietnamese grocery and
Yeah.
the Peruvian restaurant,
Yeah.
right there. I mean, it's just, so yeah, I think to pick photos with the fast fare cards,
So anywhere that a fast fare card will be sold,
we can snap.
it's an opportunity.
Yeah.
To put them on the poster holding the card.
Yeah.
And you can build up your business community.
No, I'd say I would say any local business who's willing to do
I
it,
mean,
sign them up. I mean, whether they're selling
Yeah.
cards or not, if they're willing to say, hey, we want our customers to be able to stop and shop
Right,
here,
yeah,
man,
we-
we'll happily promote the bus,
In the
yeah.
conversation about the picture,
Seriously,
they're
I
like,
mean,
oh, we're
that's-
excited about it.
It's
And
Yeah,
win-win
absolutely.
for everybody,
I'd say anybody who's interested, they
seriously.
give them a shot, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, is there what's the actual, how do you get it done? Like, would it be possible for Christine at Mesba? I mean, again, trying to think of, do people just send in a selfie? Like, does Mesba just use their distribution list and say, there's a free advertising opportunity for our businesses? If you'd be interested in distributing.
Look, we asked her, I mean, they're
card.
certainly gonna have a conversation
And
with her,
then literally
absolutely.
people can like, make sure you get your business logo in the shot with you holding a card.
Yeah.
And then we'll put you on a poster. That's like
And
free
if-
advertising.
I don't know anything about Mesba, but if they don't wanna do it, we could just email a lot of these businesses or walk in.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, walking in is possible. I'm just trying to think
Yeah.
of, I don't know what our deadline is or how fast or easy
Should
we
I
could make
write
this.
mock-up language of an email for them to send? I could do it
Sure.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that instead of, yeah, I'll make a, yeah, and then that way we don't have to think of the people, but we could think of people that are not businesses that we wanna include.
Like Aldo
Or ones,
Leopold.
or ones that we want, or businesses that we wanna make sure we get involved, like, it'd be nice to have WPS. involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we know
sure.
for sure we wanna get
And
that,
one
if we
city
wanna have,
schools and, yeah.
you're right, if there's folks we really wanna
We can
know.
make a list of non-business people that we would just reach out to directly, separate from the list.
Sure.
Okay,
I mean, I would be happy to talk with Christine. I'm very friendly with her.
Why
See
don't
what she would
we
think. Or you can
Put
talk to her,
together a
whatever.
list.
Yeah.
I mean, we just put together a list tonight, but it's a brainstorm.
Yeah.
So I
right.
think it's not exactly cleaned
Yeah.
up.
I think there's big ones, I think we wanna make sure and hit that probably a direct invite
Right.
would be good, WPS, those folks, but then, yeah, and then give that list to Christine, say, look, these are the folks we're targeting and emailing directly.
Yeah,
And
But,
then-
or Metro's gonna email direct, whoever ends up doing it, but yeah, here's a. Email that we would like to send out to anybody else, to say if anybody else is interested in wanting to support this, we'd love to have you, so.
And here's and. We need to get a Nick to send us a
Yeah,
dozen fast fare cards.
yeah,
It wouldn't take very much to hit all these places up.
yeah,
right.
They have, you
To
can
think
really
about.
stop into any library in Madison, they have stacks like this.
Oh,
Yeah,
They have thousands of them.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly, but I'm saying for pictures, right?
Well, right.
Yeah, we
No,
but
they'll
we
get
can get the
the
credit
other
cards
free, they
anywhere,
don't
right?
care. Yeah.
And then for pictures, it probably would be just as easy to walk into Faboni's and say.
well, you know, I think for photo purposes, maybe Mick could actually give us like a blown up one.
Right.
Like a faster, you know, like a, I mean, literally, I
oh,
mean,
yeah, like a
Like a big
one.
check.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, and you can see like we'd want Faboni's, or let's just use Faboni's as an example, we'd want them to have the logo of their company, like
Oh,
in
they
the
can-
picture.
They can do, well, we just leave, it, but you
You
just
would
leave that up to
think,
them, I mean,
yeah,
obviously, they'd be
yeah.
crazy if they didn't do that, why wouldn't they
yeah.
wanna do that?
Right, exactly.
But I
It
mean,
wouldn't
whatever
necessarily
you,
have to be on their check, it could be. on
Sure,
their
on a
hat.
hat.
or in
yeah,
the text, or you
yeah.
can certainly acknowledge them, and yeah, there's other ways that they can
Yeah,
acknowledge them
yeah,
on there.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, to me, like, a bigger one would be even better for the photos and easier to see, and it might be a little more
We
fun
could have
too.
both, and then we could,
Yeah.
depending on when we show up, and in some ways, I like the idea of going in person, because I think it's gonna be.
Yeah.
We want it professional, and we want them to be consistent, which is part of the marketing. I think we gotta walk to Ken's and say,
Yeah.
hey, so, we can
Well,
either
we could
take
get,
one of the small
and we
card
can
or
get
if you wanna
Will,
stand
that's
in
something
front.
we could get, if we have scheduled, not given enough notice, we can get Will to do those.
To do them.
Take those photos.
Fantastic.
Or is it
Yeah.
an initial, do you first email and say we're looking for businesses where people could buy a card? And
Get
just
a
get
card.
that and get that, you know, squared away, and then you go back for the photo.
I think, first of all, they're just getting a card.
Yeah, it's hard not to say bye, but
Yeah,
Oh,
they
so-
don't
so-
buy,
Yeah,
they don't buy.
Distribution points, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
distribution
Yeah, you just pick up
locations,
the
yeah,
card.
sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just because I know, like,
Yeah.
even like with
I
things like.
suppose that the email could be like the email, but the photo could be like a low stakes sort of rollout that mentions the fact that we're also looking for people to be distribution points for free cards, saying like, oh, we're looking for like prominent local businesses to
Right, for distribution points.
to show the card, show the card so that people know about it, and if you're interested, you can also be blah, blah, blah. And
Oh,
then
I
when
thought
we-
it was,
Oh, I was thinking.
I thought it was reversed.
Photo, 'cause
If
like
you're a
there's the- 'cause
distribution
the
point, then you're.
Photo is like the more short-term, like obvious, oh,
Yeah,
this is gonna be on a poster and it's free advertising.
Yeah.
and So it's like a little more enticing. Whereas the being a distribution point, it's like,
yeah,
well, there are these free things, but then we gotta like talk to customers about it, and that's not
Yeah.
like selling stuff.
I see what
I
you're
don't know,
saying,
like
Yeah.
the easier
like which one
ask.
is the lead, yeah,
Yeah,
It's
I
a
don't know.
really simple, that kind of, Monona's excited to relay that we're going with Madison Metro
Mhm.
beginning March 3rd, and the Metro buses are gonna be stopping and supporting.
Monona's business
More,
community.
Monona businesses in the process,
want
and
local
we want
celebrities.
local celebrities, our business owners.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Proprietors to be a part of the campaign, can we come
So-
by? And then when we come by for the picture, for those ones that we
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Would be good
Yeah.
for actually
then there
taking
can be
the
that
card.
person-to-person contact.
Right.
Where someone can answer questions about what it would entail to be
exactly,
the distribution.
Right, cause
point,
hopefully
you know?
by then we'll have more of a sense of what the poster is. And how easy it is to distribute the cards, like, cause. I wouldn't wanna go in unless we, with the
We knew
cards and
what-
say,
Yeah.
cause if I were a business owner, unless I knew exactly what it was gonna entail, even though I know, cause you do it, at the you've seen it at the libraries. And we can do it in our places easy, but in terms of businesses, if I
Yeah.
were Ken's or something. I could see them looking at their counter going,
right,
where am I gonna put this?
where am I
Yeah,
gonna put
yeah, yeah,
them,
yeah.
Yeah.
how difficult is it gonna be, do
Yeah.
I, do
Yeah.
I have to know the ins and outs of, I mean, and whereas if we
We're gonna
knew.
say like, you're gonna
Right.
have a script of what to say
Yeah.
if people
Yeah.
ask.
if you're interested in being a distribution point for these. Contact here or do what, as a,
Right. So I
As a
think we get
follow-up.
the pictures first, we don't worry about. The distribution, cause the distribution doesn't have to come until later anyway, and we'll know by the time we've gotta nail down the distribution. What the poster looks like, what we need to say to them, et cetera, so we don't get their feathers ruffled. Now, over the thought of being a distribution site, we just get them enthused about being part of a marketing campaign. And bringing business to their
so
establishment.
that's probably, I'd say that's almost probably a separate. Email that we'd not like to send out to everybody in Mesba to say, hey, if your business is interested in being a distribution point for these things. This is the process, this is all you have to
Right.
do, this is, you just boom, that's, and then I think you could.
But that
obviously
can be
it's-
later, that could be.
Yeah, we can do that
February,
when-
'cause we're not
whenever.
starting until March.
But I do think like the list we came up with, we probably wanna
Right.
do a more direct approach to those folks, like, hey, we'd really like you guys to be able to.
Distribution
distribute
place,
these, yeah,
yeah,
and give a little more hands-on approach, I think, with those folks, I would say.
Right.
The list we came up with earlier in terms of specific locations, but yeah, if anybody else wants to, what the heck, we're not gonna, why would we turn them down? It's like, oh,
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, left us, it's like, somebody. We think they have like 5 customers a month, and they're like, well, give me 300 carts, no, but okay, thanks for the interest, probably not gonna do that at this point, but. That's a good problem to have if we've got that going on, so.
So we're sending out a letter now about the photos, and then going
I don't
around
know.
taking photos?
I don't know, I feel like we're still kind of cooking this. Or baking it, are we done? I'm just listening to the ideas,
Yeah.
I don't know what the. best order is or not.
I just, personally, I guess I would do, Nancy, is actually ask Metro, what are the, what kind of, if there's, is there a specific like list of kinds of photos that they really would think are beneficial? Obviously, they've done this
Yeah,
multiple other times. Is it people on the bus? Is it people with their fare card? Is it? What kind of photo do they really see as being most useful?
But I wonder if we should just,
or do we
we
just,
should run the idea past them, because it's like, it's such a
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
situation than other, like, they're usually dealing with
Right.
like, you know, however many hundreds of thousands of people, and we're like 10,000.
and they've just got like a generic poster that they're gonna plug in a few things, a
Well,
couple pictures of
the
it.
Sun Prairie was, well, they were,
Very tailored to
was,
some.
yeah, they
Oh.
were very specific in
Okay.
terms of how they messaged, and I mean, like I said, it wasn't, there was some degree that it was canned to some
Sure,
extent,
sure.
but they, I think they very much specifically kind of dialed it in, and
Maybe we should ask Metro to show us some of their past.
I think that's not a bad
Like,
idea,
what
just to give us an
What did you
idea.
do for Sun Prairie? What did you do?
What would they see as being most
Patty
useful,
agrees.
yeah,
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 yeah, you know,
Yeah.
why are we reinventing this?
yeah. Now, don't get me wrong, I think like the demographics and market needs of our community versus some, I think are probably different enough, they're
Sure.
gonna wanna dial this one in.
Sure,
The one
Specific
thing
audiences will be a little
The
different.
one advantage of doing the photos now, or doing photos of local people and just reaching out directly to some of the specific businesses we talked about, is that like, it's gonna take a little while to come up with these posters and figure out who's gonna be the distribution point, and if this has not been at the front of the minds of all people in a lot of these businesses and institutions and stuff, and if we reach out and we're like, hey, this is about to happen, we're gonna be going around, we were thinking of having local celebrities take pictures as part of the marketing campaign, then it might be like, you know, people at WPS are like, oh, this is, you know, people might start talking about it at some of these places where they haven't been, and that might sort of like get some of this information percolating before the marketing campaign has even
Yeah,
started.
Well, and this is true too, I think, for. I mean, again, you're gonna think it's about, not only about people in Monona leaving Monona and going other places, but also people coming to Monona, and it seems to me that. Posters are one thing. Like posters, they don't necessarily need Boney's advertised on the poster, and it's not necessarily, you know what I'm saying, because it's. And it could be more generic on the poster,
Mhm.
maybe, I'm just saying,
Mhm.
tossing that out, but. We're gonna have our own social media channels.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's
And our own
right.
newsletters and things like that, where we're putting,
we can use those.
you know,
photos, yeah.
David Verboni on
Right.
with his fast fare card on the
Right.
city's e-news.
Right.
On the
Well, I
city's
was thinking
website or
having like
whatever.
one of the teachers from Alva Leopold
Yeah.
on a thing, like some kids might say to their parents who
Right.
don't ever ride a bus, like, I wanna ride the bus.
I
that, like,
agree.
That's my
leaves
teacher.
Suzie." Yeah.
I agree, so I'm
Just like
saying,
that.
having those photos, I could see as value to us, even if
Sure.
all of them don't end up making it to the
Yeah.
larger
Right.
marketing.
Our own media asset
And we could do those
collection.
anytime.
Right,
Without having to worry about
right,
the process for distribution or
Right.
whether or not
Right.
they're a distribution site, because I think we need to get more information from
Yeah.
Metro, is
Yeah.
what we're
Yeah.
hearing tonight.
Yeah.
In terms of,
yeah,
you know,
I think Nancy, when we get, let's start collecting, if you're the ones where all the photos are going to, I'd say probably get them to Will.
yeah,
And then he'll get them, he'll hang on to them all in
Yeah.
one spot and
Yeah.
make sure that they're usable,
that's why
so.
it's so great to have community meetings.
I know, yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Exactly, this is,
Yeah.
this will be a huge benefit, and they said when we really get to the point where, you know, we wanna do a video on, you know, what it's like to actually ride the bus.
mhm,
He'll follow them on and ride it to wherever, I mean, he'll know, they can record and produce the
Yeah,
entire
yeah.
thing, so.
Yeah,
yeah, I like the idea of just building up our own little collection of media assets, you know, however we
of
use them, we use them,
local
right?
businesses.
This is not gonna be,
Everybody knows
this is not gonna be like a 30-day thing
Right,
and we're done.
right.
This is gonna be an
And
ongoing,
even like a year
Effort,
down
yeah.
the road, so
Oh,
we got a
at
new
least.
business where you can pick up your card, here it is, or we've got a new,
Yep.
you know, we
That's
just
right.
slowly.
Or I
roll it
can
out.
see even like with Santa coming up,
Right,
you know,
There you
having
go.
Santa getting on the bus, you know.
Santa holding up a card, that would be so awesome.
Or the Easter bunny that they always have at
Yeah.
Park and Rec at Easter,
Yeah.
right, where they're doing the egg
The
hunt
Easter
or whatever,
bunny.
you could get the Easter bunny, right, so there's definitely
Stocking stuffer.
lots of stuff we could do,
Put
so
a
let's.
card in your Christmas stocking.
So why don't we, why don't we clean up this for now, and then judging from the businesses we thought might be included for distribution. We can put together that list, prioritize it a little bit, talk to Mick a little bit more this week, and then we'll get a list to Will. Other places where we want people to be photographed with a pass card. Fun. You know, not like standing there bored, but like, you know, little energy in the photo, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
And then we can send out an email to your point, Jenny.
WVMO, someone in the WVMO.
Yeah,
Yeah. We can Joe do that or somebody else, yeah, so. And then we could still send out an email saying, you know, we're excited that we're gonna be part of Metro, it's gonna be great for their business. Our director of community media, Will Newell, is gonna be will be coming around, hoping to snap a photo of you and your business with a fair card in the next month, like not during the
Right,
holiday, but
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
in the month of January or something
Even
like
if we
that.
sit on it for a while, I'll
Yeah.
get some copy.
I mean, we're
of
just
this
building our.
Yeah.
To send
Yeah.
so that we'll have
Right.
it ready.
Right, right. Does that
I
make,
like it.
that sound like a plan? Addie?
thumbs up.
Are you home or have you escaped somewhere else warm?
Nope, I'm just at home. Admittedly, it's I don't have a car tonight, and it's just cold enough that it's a bit too cold for me to bike over. So I figured I'd take it from home.
Understand. Are you going to Arizona in January?
Yeah, we're headed down February, March. So I won't be here for the first bus ride. I'm a little disappointed, but I should be here for the
Oh,
first week.
We expect you to fly back.
That's right, or take a bus.
I did have one like tangential,
Yeah.
not Madison Metro related thing. I don't know if I'm allowed to bring this up at the end of the meeting.
Sure.
But Stoughton Road is getting redone.
Yes.
And Stoughton Road is, you know, right on the periphery of Monona, and we, as having a real investment in transit in our community, are going to be affected by that. So I personally have been involved in a whole lot of bicycle advocacy, giving a whole lot of feedback to DOT to understand the challenges that bicyclists are having getting across 51. And just in general, I know over the next couple months, there's going to be a lot of listening sessions and plan development. So I hope that we, as a transit commission, recognizing that this, though it's not our obvious purview, it is a foundational part of our transit system. And I hope we as a commission can continue to engage with that project with, you know, updates, engaging our community in giving feedback on that project. And if we see areas where we can improve the flow of roads between our local roads and these state roads, I think that's a really great thing. I just kind of wanted to make sure that's on our radar for the next little while.
Yeah, thanks, Eddie. That's a great reminder. And I know Alder Woods especially has been on top of that. From
Good. Okay.
city
I'll reach
council
out.
standpoint, he's been following that. Not that the rest of us haven't, but he's been more involved in MPO and some other things. But I think that's a really good point. And in fact, I just saw it today, I think on Facebook, about the bridge that they created on 30.
Mm-hmm.
They just announced it was finished, right? To allow for pedestrians and bikes to go over. So,
Yeah.
point well taken.
Yeah, and just a note on that, Eddie staff is, you know, Brad in our public works department is very much keeping an
Yeah.
eye on that.
Okay,
Even though they're kind of, you know, they say this is all very preliminary, fuzzy, warm concept kind of stuff. We know how that can change in a heartbeat. So we're trying to, you know, certainly bike and ped connections are on staff's list. Also just in terms of, you know, I think the separation is kind of really more what we're looking for, that so there is an easier like under the road kind of connection or over the road type of connection, certainly for bike and ped, but also for local traffic as well. They've got a couple of kind of out there kind of ideas that would kind of take over some local roads, and staff is really not thinking that they're really good ideas, and we've expressed that concern to DOT. You know, they're still very much in the stage of just identifying, these are just concepts that we're going to evaluate further, but we've already kind of expressed some more concerns on some versus others. But I think we definitely see, you know, making sure that local traffic, and I think local traffic includes bike ped connection.
Please.
Yeah, we need to, but I think I agree that this group should certainly stay involved in that. I think there's land use impacts that I think Plan Commission and our comp plan, as we get going on that next year, that's gonna need to take that into consideration as well. So, point well taken. I would even, you know, at some point, maybe even just put that as a regular reminder, update on your agendas, maybe Alder, just kind of say,
Yep.
if staff has any updates or anything, just kind of see how that's going. Happy to put that on, so.
Yeah.
You know, maybe one day we turn it into a Highline bicycle pedestrian parkway connecting the east side of Madison. I'm
Yeah.
kidding. No, I'm not
Yeah.
kidding.
Well,
I'm
you know, I
thinking
was
about
just
big
thinking,
crazy
actually, I was
ideas.
thinking, oh, is it just the intersection? Is it all 51? Because, you know, through my Facebook feed, I know I get stuff especially from Scandinavia all the time. And other countries where they're just so far ahead in terms of stuff like that, and like one is like this major, perfect like Broadway or 51 kind of scenario where the median in the middle is sunken and is a whole bike runway with solar panels over the top of it. So
Yeah.
you're getting solar and the bikes always have a place to go. and
The
it's-
difference, Alder, is they built it right the first time.
Yeah,
And so unfortunately, we have all of this 1970s, 80s infrastructure that just, I think, you know, paving contractors had the major, you know, stake in getting some of these designs approved. And so now we have to figure out how to undo some of the things, like frontage roads are a great example. For the
Yeah.
51 corridor, that's the huge, that's honestly, that's probably one of the biggest challenges we've got, is figuring out what to do with those darn things.
right,
I've
And
I've been
yeah.
in 2 bike car altercations in the 5 years that I've lived here at Flom at the frontage road at 51, trying to get across 51 to go bike,
Yeah,
you know, out
racing,
the
yeah.
countryside east of Madison. You got to get across Cottage Grove Road, and it's terrifying. I've had 2 encounters with cars. Thankfully,
Yeah.
I've not been injured badly, and I've not had my bikes irreparably damaged,
Right,
but
yeah.
it's dangerous. It's very
They are, and the more traffic you add on to the more just the more conflicts you get by doing that, and yeah, it's just, yeah, they are one of the most, probably one of the, generally how they've been designed and laid out in most places, they're one of the worst ideas that we came up with in terms of transportation planning is that we did, because they put them all too close to the main intersections. So the intersections are enormous, and they've done, their solution to making it easier is just adding lanes most of the time. So it makes it even harder to get across.
Right.
So yeah, and I do think the good thing about the study is it does feel like they're trying to move that towards more. Get the through traffic separated and isolated so it can just get through and then have either elevated, you know, reduce conflicts by getting people over or under who don't need to interact with 51, they're just on their way through. Hopefully they come up with something great, so.
And I could just say, even though this is, I could just say that I know from a driver's standpoint, the intersection that they created at Flom and 51.
Yeah, exactly. It's awful.
It's awful.
It is.
Like, I always like, we were going to the Red Rooster, like, was it
Yeah.
last week or something, to see Mark Croft? And it's like, I always inevitably, unless I'm going south, you know, I always end up in the wrong lane
Yeah.
because it's
Mhm.
not obvious. The lane that's going
Yeah.
forward is actually turning to the left.
Yeah.
And the lane,
Yeah.
and the lane that's going forward is actually to the right.
Mhm.
You know, it's like, it makes no sense at all.
So like transit and bike and
Yeah.
ped all need to be incorporated into that, so,
Yeah.
cause yeah, exactly, absolutely.
He's on it, he's on it, okay. I think we got through our 5, are there any other
suggestions, comments, thoughts before we close the meeting, and we will keep you. We meaning Teresa and I and Mark will keep you in the loop. Like I said, we're meeting every week and we have a lot of great fodder here. For our meeting with Mick. On Friday and on Fridays, and again, their intention is not to do, from their own experience, they don't wanna really do anything except for the website. They're not interested in doing anything before the holidays publicly because people just don't pay attention during the holidays, so but they are interested in
Yeah.
getting rolling so that after the holidays, we can roll out this
Yeah.
calendar.
And knowing is, to your point, you made earlier, knowing how busy they are with BRT.
Yes.
Yeah.
We get to take advantage of whatever time they're willing to give us right now, knowing
Exactly.
if they're willing to go, man, let's go.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah, if we can give
exactly,
them to
and he was actually. Yeah, and I know that the seniors are priority, cause Diane was on the
Yeah.
meeting last
Yeah.
week and she was really anxious about. About them and the guy that would normally go to the senior center is out on medical leave, so, and they're short staffed, and so we were like, okay, can we get somebody with Diane?
Yeah.
Get there, 'cause again, we don't want them to be anxious, they will be, but we don't,
least amount possible. anyway.
Yeah, right. All right, do you have anything, anybody have anything else?
Just one comment, the very last 4 lines on the spreadsheet, I think Mick added those. And the only reason I'm guessing this is because I always preface with the date and my initials so that people know who added the note. But he wrote related to the posters / flyers.
Yeah.
Metro will design and do some printing. Nona would need to secure the locations and hang. So we were like physically hanging the posters. Did we, I don't know if we said that already. We talked about locations, but I don't know if we talked about like
Yeah.
going around hanging them up. And then as far as the row 63, he wrote, they would also promote the distribution locations. So, okay. Yep, all right. And then he also wrote something with coordinate with MPO, so we talked about that tonight, which is great.
Fantastic, as always, you guys, I love all of your input and engagement, this is never gonna wallflower our committee, and I can't thank you enough. Really, really helpful, everybody, Addie, and everybody else, have a fantastic holiday. Thank you again, and with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second?
Seconded?
That's okay.
Yeah.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Yay.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank
Addie.
you. Have a great holiday. Safe driving, safe pedaling. There goes the snow flies. It's gonna get, it's cold out there.
That's good. It's already getting
Press.
cold out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
and
But
Neil, thank you so much for being here.
Okay.
Stay-